Hi, everybody. I'm Florence McGregor, and welcome to Creative Healing from Trauma. Today's masterclass is all about unraveling trauma looping and dismantling toxic relationship bonding. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we are. So this is a map. I'm about to uh, describe to you and excite you to join me and others in a 3-month online group course for women in creative healing from trauma. So, this is an embodied coaching program, okay? And it explores a practice of your own innate creativity, of your own innate healing capacity. The foundations of healing are a safe environment, a willingness to heal, and a creative community to co-regulate with and to create with. So let's talk about the benefits of a personal creative healing practice. So I don't know if you have experienced this, but perhaps when you become creative, you feel really safe in your body. When you are sharing your creativity with your authentic voice, there's a feeling of belonging. In tune with creative healing practice is the development of self-regulation, de-escalation, which in tune provides you with the development of compassion, emotional balance, acceptance, non-judgment for yourself and, of course, for others. And then, of course, practicing creativity creates technique, and technique creates craft. And when you start to develop your craft, you start to own the artist within you. And this encourages curiosity, consistency, joy, and acceptance. And of course, new visions of the future. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions to start. True or false? Is trauma looping a post-traumatic response? True. I use the word post-traumatic response instead of a post-traumatic disorder because I'm a wordsmith and I love words and I believe that words are very powerful in the body. So we respond to trauma. We respond to it. The looping part is how our memory tries to figure it out. So here we are. We've had a traumatic experience, and then we go back to the memory over and over and over again. Okay, that is our natural response. It's a very human response. And in fact, it's necessary in order to figure out what happened. The problem with trauma is that it is like a tragedy. And a tragedy composes of three basic principles. Three things: time, place, and action. So what happens in the loop is that we go back to, well, if I just wasn't there at that time, if I just wasn't at that place at that time, and if I just didn't do anything, or if I just did something, the tragedy, the trauma would not have happened. And we go over this and we go over this and we go over this. And it's challenging because it happened. And the questions rise, is it possible? Is it possible that there was nothing I could do? If I just arrived at that time, if I just didn't arrive at that time, if I just didn't go around that corner, if I just wasn't at that place, if I just did something, if I just didn't do something, then it wouldn't have happened. So that's what the loop actually is. We go back and we go back and we go back and we try to figure it out. And my job here is to encourage you to know that there is a path to break that cycle of looping and to sustain that trauma in your past, arrive in the present moment, and start to mine out, what did you learn from this experience? What is the wisdom that you have gained? Okay, true or false? Is trauma bonding a psychological response to feeling connected with someone over a shared traumatic experience? Let me say it again. Is trauma bonding a psychological response to feeling connected with someone over a shared traumatic experience? Yeah, this is false. It's really important to be able to connect over a shared traumatic experience. We all were in the pandemic, for example. The pandemic was traumatic, and we shared that common societal experience together. And that's a good thing because we bonded over it. This helped us get through it. But trauma bonding is akin to trauma dumping, where we go back and we go back to the same fights, the same conflicts, the same conversations, with people that we love, or friends or colleagues, or people at work, and nothing changes, but we continue to go there in order to change it, try to figure it out. These are all very valid, important things, but after a while, if it doesn't change, it starts to feel familiar, and at least you're connected to that person, you say to yourself. At least there's some form of attention, and if I just explain it well enough, if I just explain it in a different way, if I can just show that person what I'm feeling, if they can just feel me, if they can just understand me, right? And if you find yourself having these conversations over and over and over again, it develops an actual psychic link and bond, and it becomes really hard to leave and to take accountability for your own health, because there's this desire and this urge to heal. It's an innate human experience to want to heal, which is ironically why we are in trauma bonding relationships. Okay, true or false? Talking about trauma helps. True and false. Yeah, let's say true and false. On the one hand, it's very good to talk about your trauma. Absolutely. Friends, family, therapists, absolutely. To yourself, for sure, for sure. But just talking about trauma, does that heal trauma? Not necessarily. So the process, the path, the 3-month online course and group work and individual sessions with me are all about the immersion of our holistic self, our creative self, to be able to express our trauma in a different way instead of just talking about it, which works on a different neurological path within our body, the imagination. And the body does not know the difference between what you imagine and what is actually happening. And this is the magic that we're going to create in the body, for the body to figure out how to develop a new neural pathway towards our new identity unfolding. Creativity, imagination works on a neurological platform within our bodies to encourage problem solving. So it's not just talking. You're going to dance about it. You're going to write music about it. You're going to take photographs, create a film, put up a play, write, journal, poetry. There's all kinds of different ways to express the trauma and become part of a collective voice. Okay, so what can we do to dismantle trauma looping and trauma bonding? Okay, I'm going to present to you a 3-month path. And first, I'm going to direct you to this beautiful circle over here. Trauma, embodied trauma unraveling. This is the first month. Second month is transformational narrative techniques. And the third month is creative resilience technology. All right, let me explain that for a minute. So, embodied trauma unraveling in the first month, we are gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it, but we're going to unravel it in a way where we're going to get some feedback. We're going to get affirmation for our feelings. We're going to belong to a group of women, creative women, who have experienced their own trauma and can provide support and care, non-judgment, compassion. And what happens in this caring space is that the story begins to unravel itself and the edges become frayed a bit so that we can start to mine out, what did we learn? How did we grow? And who are we becoming because of what happened to us? This is in the first month. In the second month, we're looking at transformational narrative techniques. These are different storytelling techniques that will enable you to transform your own story of trauma into a new story of transformation. It's also really fun in the second month because we start to take a look at how we want to express this new story that we're telling, that this new story that we're living. And we begin a creative practice, which in the third month is what we are encouraging one another to do. And we're sharing our creativity, we're sharing our art, our poetry, our music, the things that we're creating in order to tell the story in a different way and to become part of a larger voice in society that will share it, kind of thing. Now, if you don't want to share your story on a grand scale, that's cool, but we're going to share it together. So everyone experiences trauma, right? We all went through the global pandemic. You may have experienced your own sickness, or somebody else, a loved one might have been sick. You might have experienced a breakup, a separation, or a divorce, a loss of a job, the death of a loved one, or of course, childhood traumatic experiences, right? Which can have effect on you later on in life. You may have experienced trauma now in your life. So this is a collective shared experience. Okay, so what are the challenges of surviving a traumatic experience? There's external forces, internal, there's commitments that we make, and the accountability that we have in our lives. So let's talk about that for a minute. External challenges could be where you live, what you think society is going to say if you come out and you talk about this, your friends, your family, the amount of effort that it takes to work against those external forces. You may need to make money, and don't have time, right? We have internal challenges as well. We might be experiencing guilt or shame or sadness, confusion, grief, anger, rage. And these, on the one hand, are good to exercise in order to understand what we're feeling. They could also be challenging because it could put you in a state of overwhelm. What are the commitments that you have in your life? Do you need to make sure that you put food on the table for your family? Do you have commitments in relationships or with people in society that you work with, for example? Can you commit to your own healing process while you're involved in the world? This might become a challenge for you, okay? And that's okay. It's good to acknowledge where we're at, right? And the other part is your accountability to heal, because the body doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining and what is literally happening. So if you're constantly telling yourself, no, this is impossible, I can't get through this, I can't get through my day, this is awful, this is horrible, this will have an effect on the body. Whereas if you're accountable to what's happened because it happened, and again, this might not be your fault. right? I work with a lot of domestic abuse survivors, and it is the one thing that needs to be unraveled. This isn't your fault. You were innocent. So be accountable for your healing process now. But again, that could be a challenge because you might be experiencing, this is the next um, line here. You might be experiencing fears. You might say to yourself, I don't have time. There might be a calling to do something, but in your relationship, you feel stuck and you have trouble talking about this specific thing that you might need to do in your relationship. It's like, no, 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 you can't possibly do that. Right. You might be experiencing social shame or having fear of social shame. You might have a fear in your own relationship of being punished if you change, right? You may be experiencing a personal amount of shame because you don't know where to begin or where to go, okay? Again, I'm here to help you on the path. Um, Feeling alone, feeling misunderstood, not able to put the words together to actually describe, well, what happened and who you want to become because of what happened. You might be experiencing, of course, the trauma looping, going back to the memory over and over again, trying to figure this out. You might be in a toxic relationship right now and you don't know how to break free from the bonds of that. Lack of sleep, insecurity, lack of confidence, right? Paranoia. These things develop in the body if we don't deal with them, with physical health issues, addictions. We might isolate ourselves. We might become very resentful of our situations in the past and just keep playing over that story over and over again instead of doing something about it. Or you might be living with the state of regret. And of course, the big D, depression. You know, we all experience depression from time to time for good reason. Usually it comes and goes in our lives. That's a very normal thing. But is it a big depression? Is it something where you can't get up in the morning? Right? So these all might be the challenges of healing, creative healing from trauma. Okay, developing creative principles. Here we go. Again, I was mentioning this is a 3-month process. It's a group process. And you also get individual sessions with me and a full 12-week online course, which is yours forever. The first month is really about the embodiment of this work. We're going to unravel the trauma. We are going to talk about it. We're going to do a lot of de-escalation exercises to help us through dealing with what's called an awakening in us, a deep awakening while we share our stories, and a cascading. And the cascading is really interesting because it's all about connecting the dots in association. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Because what happens in trauma is that the mind becomes fractured. Trauma is like shattered glass. And so when we can go back to the story and go, well, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And then you go, no, these two things were connected to this, to this. And then suddenly there's like this constellation that is developed within your neurology that enables you to see the situation clearer, concise, with some concise precision. And what happens in cascading is there's often a lot of tears. There might be some purging, sweating. Your body might break down and get sick for a while. You might need a lot of sleep so that your neurology can rebuild itself in this new constellation that you're building for itself. This is month 1. And then, of course, we're going to take some creative action, talk about our art and our craft and our hobbies and the things that we want to develop creatively. Month 2, we're going to embrace our senses, embrace one another in the group. We're going to start to transform our story into a story of wisdom, a wisdom story. We're going to really attack that trauma loop. We're going to figure out what is it that I keep going back to. Can I isolate that in time, live in the present moment, take out the wisdom from what happened so that I can recreate a new identity in a neurological space with our imagination, which ignites that neurological healing force so that I can create a new identity to move forward, right? We're going to recreate our memory. It was like this, but now I'm going to talk about it like this, different. Um, this is all part of reinventing our narrative, breaking patterns of toxic attachment. And so we have to understand, oh, I've got that instinct to go out and have that talk one more time. If I just, say it this way, then it will change, right? Um, so we'll talk about toxic relationship attachment and how to break free from that. Okay. What is the story you want to share with others? And so that others will be encouraged to tell their story. Month 3, we go into the creative practice, the rehearsal, to rehear and to practice and practice and practice, because patterns become habits. Habits become hobbies. Hobbies need technique. Once we develop the technique, we develop our craft. Once we become a craftsman, there's like a deep calling to go further. We develop more technique for our craft and we become artists and we embrace the artist within. Once we become artists, there's a deep creative relationship with the world, with your creator, with your belief systems. And you start to give it away and have a relationship with a broader voice, become part of a voice in the world that is for the greater good. Yeah. Um, so this encourages a resilience in the foundation of our rituals. We become to be accepting of ourselves in a different way, creative acceptance. We develop our creative practice. This is your specific art explored, whichever art you want to explore, believing that the impossible is possible and making meaning out of memory. All right, first a story. Hi. Okay, so I want to introduce myself again. Um, I'm Florence McGregor, and I love this work. I live for this work. I am a trauma survivor, and now I'm a thriver. When I was very young, I was 14, and I was groomed and abused and sexually abused by a teacher in my high school. It was on and off for many, many years. And eventually I was able to escape because my foundation of secure attachment with my family was very, very strong. I was held, I was loved, I was embraced, I was encouraged to be creative, I was encouraged to think, and I really did know what love was. So that when this thing was happening and I was traumatized and dissociated and scared and, challenged by all the things that we were talking about, there was a part of me that just knew that this was not love, and I was able to escape. I went into my 20s and 30s in the theater and I got lots of leads. I became an emotional Olympian. I really explored my emotional palette creatively. And, I became Christopher Plummer's first artistic apprentice. I was at the Stratford Festival for like 17 years, plays, movies, TV series, and then I fell in love and I had children. And there was a moment where I really decided, no, this was my greatest lead in my life. I wanted to be a mom. So motherhood is my greatest archetype. I'm a nurturer, I'm a provider, I'm a learner provider. And my kids are my why. This is why I'm doing this. I have 2 girls. And then I was also teaching in universities. I was teaching a health class for actors, and I got a job teaching at the Toronto School of Theology, teaching ministers performance skills, text, and presence and divine communication with a greater audience and with their gods, with their God in this sense. It was a multi-faith program, so there are some fun things that we could discuss theologically. Anyway, within that program, there was another program that came up from the Canadian College of Psychotherapists. And in tune with that, I jumped on a master's degree in psychospiritual care and psychotherapy. And I became a psychotherapist. And here I am today. So, thank you so much for coming. I want to bring you through an exercise that will engage this neurological pathway that is the key to dismantling trauma looping and breaking free from toxic relationship bonding. And it is a neurological pathway that will excite your hope, your courage, and your confidence that you can do this. Okay. So let me just share my screen again. So find yourself in a comfortable position. You can close your eyes and listen to my voice if you like, or um, you know, take a good look at this picture if you like. However, most you feel comfortable. Take big breaths in the body. Settle yourself. If you want to take some water, or if you got a snack, I'm going to take a little water here before I begin. Okay, so this specific neurological exercise is going to engage your body's response. So I want you to imagine that you're coming out of a beautiful house. This is your house. What does your house look like? How is it designed? You know, this is your dream home. This is the kind of house that you find safety in. This is the house where you can gather alone or with your family and with your friends, and you feel absolutely safe. For now, I want you to open up those doors and I want you to walk out into a beautiful field. Feel your feet against the earth. Perhaps it's grass. You're going through grass. Take a look around you. What does it smell like? Imagine that there's deep sunlight and it's just warm. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just right. And you're walking forward. And in the distance, you see a tree. And on the tree, there are these glistening yellow orbs. And as you move forward towards these orbs, you recognize it. Yes, it's your lemon tree. Yeah. And you pick a lemon, which is perfect, right off the tree. And you start to peel it like an orange. It's not an orange, it's a lemon, but you're peeling it like an orange. And the juices are dripping all over your hands, and you can feel your mouth and your saliva. And in this moment, you take a big bite of this beautiful yellow orange. Sorry, lemon. I said orange, no, lemon. Of course, you could do this with an orange tree too. But for this exercise, yes, the lemon. So you're taking a good bite of the lemon. And I just ask you in this moment, what's happening in your body? Are you like me? And experiencing lots of saliva. It's coming up. It happens every time. I've done this exercise so many times. It happens every single time. Why? Because the body doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what is actually literally happening. And this is the neurological practice, your imaginary forces, the practice of your imagination of what is possible. So in the field, we often ask, what does healing look like to you? What does healing sound like? What does it smell like? What does healing taste like? What does healing feel like? Call this the miracle question. So coming to miracles. Okay, so I want to talk about Michelle Gilbert. Michelle Gilbert was one of my clients, and she took this course not once but twice this year. In January, she started, and she was going through the process of chemotherapy treatments for brain cancer. And over the course of 3 months, she came to terms with her story, her life story. And it was an extraordinary process to be there with her because we held her, we loved her, we laughed with her, we cried with her. And she decided to take the next journey forward and go to the second part of the 3-month journey, which was January, February, March, and then she went into April, May, June. And in 3 months, what her creative practice was to um, gather all of her friends and family. And she created a celebration of life party, as you can see here. Some of these pictures. There's her down there with her minister, and there in the back is her sitting at a table with her friends and family. Over 200 people showed up from all over the world, and she did this while she was dying of brain cancer. I've never seen her so happy. I've never seen her so sad. And she went through it all, and we held her in this process. Oh, feel her now. Okay. There's a link here. We'll put it up in the chat. This is the other thing that she decided to do. I kid you not. She decided to do a documentary while she was dying about her life. She asked a documentary film crew and said, would you be interested in doing this? And they did a documentary called Dying to Meet You, a matter of 3 months, to raise money for cancer research for brain cancer. So I wanted to show you that as one of the testimonials because I miss you, Michelle, and I love you. And I was so happy to provide this safe healing space for you to do what you need to do. And of course, if Michelle can do this, can be creative, then we can too. So here's my offer, people. Okay, so this is what I'm going to provide you with within this map. We're going to have a private community on Facebook. It's called Creative Healing from Trauma. It's an international community of women who gather to share stories in a safe, non-judgmental, and supportive private Facebook group. I was trying to put a price on this. I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. I can't even put a price to it. I'm doing this for free. If you join the group today, you're there forever, even if you don't buy the course, no worries, because we meet once a month for free on Zoom and we share our stories of healing and transformation. We talk about it and we support one another. So the free healing circle every month, I'd say my fee is like $200 an hour. So I'm kind of valuing that at $600 Canadian. But then within the process, if you buy this package, there's group work. 4 times a month, we're going to meet once a week, and we're going to go through this 12-week course together. And the course is really online to give you like a taste of the topic. And then really we do a lot of sharing and a lot of talking. So again, my fee is $200 an hour, and it's going to be like 4 times a month. Okay, once a week. I'm going to value that at $800. But each month you're going to have 2 private sessions with me to integrate the information, to be able to talk about your own personal journey. So there's 2 things here. There's healing in a community space, but there's also healing privately, alone with your family, and having somebody there coaching you and helping you and providing you with a safe space to talk about it or to discuss what you're going through and how your creative process is unfolding in your creative healing in this time. So 2 private sessions per month is valued about $400. And then I'm going to give you access to the video trainings online forever. And that's about $1,000. Okay. So in total, it's about $2,800, but I'm going to cut that price. And I'm offering it for only $1,500. Okay. But if you join today, I'm going to give you the package for $1,200 with a deposit of $100. And if you want to make payments, you can make 2 payments a month. Let's go down to the 3 month divided by 3 months. That's only $400 a month instead of $500 a month, which it will become that later. But for today, if you put down a deposit, it's only $1,200, and you can divide that up into however you want to divide it up in, and I'll support you in doing that. So here's the other thing. If you're in Canada and you have insurance, I can give you a professional receipt as a psychotherapist. So those 2 embodied integration sessions become psychotherapy sessions, and I will give everything else for you for free. Everything else is free. So at no cost, you can have this online program, the course, do the group work, have the international community, and two integration sessions with me, which are 1 hour each month for 3 months. I want to thank you. Please set up a free consultation with me for an hour. It's absolutely free. Here are some links. The first one is my sort of the website that describes the course in more detail. You can explore that. There's my contact on my my personal website, and then a calendar link to set up a free consultation with me. And again, here is the link to deposit $100 and save your spot. And of course, you can just email me. So again, this offer is going to end tomorrow at midnight. I'm going to give you until tomorrow at midnight. So that's Sunday night. And or if you're seeing this replay, just shoot me an email and tell me that you saw this replay, and I will hold that deposit for you for a few more days. Okay. But otherwise, do it right now. All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you hopefully in those consultations. You can ask anything you want to ask me. All right. All right. Be well.